Welcome to another episode of the Skinfluence podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dustin Portela, board-certified dermatologist. And today we are featuring Johanna Young. She is the founder of Solbari, a UPF clothing company started in Australia about 12 years ago. UPF clothing is an unappreciated secret in the skin protection game. We always talk about sunscreen, but UPF clothing is often more convenient and often more effective because you don't have to remember to reapply sunscreen. Solbari was started in Australia, where 2 out of 3 people will get skin cancer by the time they're 70 years old. So the population in Australia has made sun protection essential from early ages to combat the rising incidence of skin cancer. This was a phenomenal conversation. I know you're going to enjoy it. And stick around till the end of the episode because Johanna does share a unique discount code if you're interested in Solbari products that look good, that feel good, and that also protect your skin. Let's jump into the conversation. Well, Johanna, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to have this conversation because I am a huge advocate of people getting outside and being active. And one of the things that frustrates me is when I see a patient who ends up getting diagnosed with skin cancer, a percentage of them will end up almost becoming a recluse and they will stop going outside because they become so fearful of the sun. And paradoxically, oftentimes their health deteriorates faster and they get more skin cancer because they're not being active. And you have started a brand that helps people to get out and be active while also protecting themselves against the sun, Solbari. And I would love to know about your background. If the viewer doesn't already know, you are located in Australia, and sun exposure and the culture around that has a little bit different perception where you're at versus what we experience in the United States.
Absolutely. In Australia, skin cancer and melanoma are incredibly prominent. So 2 in 3 Australians will be diagnosed with skin cancer by the age of 70. It's huge, 2 in 3.
Yeah.
So from a very young age, we know about sun protection and we know how powerful the sun is, and we also get to respect the sun. We have a very active outdoors way of living. We go to the beach. We spend a lot of time outside. We're very active. The UV is extremely high as well in Australia for a very long part of the year. And it's ingrained in all of our cultures. So we respect the sun. We know about skin cancer and melanoma. And that's really what got me to start Solbari.
And so was this a personal thing for you or just because it was in the culture at large? Has your family or yourself been affected by skin cancer?
Yes. With the statistics of 2 in 3 Australians being diagnosed by the age of 70, everyone in Australia knows someone who has been diagnosed with skin cancer or melanoma. And unfortunately, like most Australians, I've had friends and family members who have been diagnosed and affected by skin cancer. And what really shocked me when I was doing some research and just enjoying the outdoors is that not all clothing protects the same from the sun. So that was really shocking to me when I found out that a regular white cotton t-shirt protects the same as wearing, or may protect the same as wearing SPF 5 sunscreen. I was just completely shocked. I thought that all clothing protected the same from the sun, but not at all. So that's why I got really interested in the concept of UPF. I also did some volunteering for the Cancer Council in Australia. I've always been very interested in helping others, doing volunteer work. And that's when I got to realize that there was such a huge gap in the market. I started Solbari about 12 years ago. And back in the day, if you remember, 12 years ago, there was no offering in high quality, comfortable, lightweight, breathable, anti-odor UPF 50 plus products. So I really saw a gap in the market. And it did come from a personal situation where my husband and I love to play golf. We love the outdoors. He's blonde, blue eyes, very fair skin. And as you can imagine, with his skin type, he gets sunburnt very quickly. And despite us applying sunscreen before playing golf and sometimes forgetting to reapply every 2 hours, we would get quite burnt with the UV of 11, 12, 13, as it is in Australia during the summer. So that's when we decided that we had to find a better way of protecting ourselves. And that's really what got me to create Solbari.
Now, you brought up an interesting point that your average, white t-shirt maybe gives you an SPF protection of 5. And I think a lot of people have a false sense of security that if they've got clothing on, they don't need to cover that area with sunscreen. And if you are, wearing a white t-shirt and you happen to get wet, I've heard that the SPF protection goes down to 1 or 2. Almost no UV is being filtered out. And so what is it that is different about UPF clothing versus other types of clothing that don't carry a UPF rating? And maybe for the benefit of the listener, what does UPF mean?
Great question. So you will have heard about sunscreen. So sunscreen stands for, the sunscreen has an SPF, which means that the sunscreen will block or absorbs UV rays on the skin. However, you can think of UPF as the equivalent of SPF, but for fabrics. For fabrics, for clothing, for sun hats, for accessories. So as we were saying earlier, a regular white cotton t-shirt may be the equivalent of wearing a UPF 5, which is the same as wearing SPF 5 sunscreen. And it means that the fabric lets through about 20% of UV radiation. So as you said, if the fabric becomes wet, the UPF might be reduced even further, so it provides very little protection. What we decided to do, or what I decided to do when I started Solbari, is that everything that we offer is UPF 50+, which is the highest sun protective rating for fabrics in the world. And that means that it blocks at least 98% of UVA and UVB rays. And the huge advantage of wearing UPF 50+ protection throughout the day is that you don't need to apply sunscreen and you don't need to reapply sunscreen either. You really are protected throughout the day, and the coverage and the protection that it offers your skin enables you not to get sunburned and just to have a really comfortable day out in the sun.
Yeah, and that is something that I tell my patients often. There's a fear of sunscreens among certain segments online. Some people are afraid of the chemicals, but clothing is an entirely different category. You don't have to worry about getting it absorbed into your body or reapplying or having it wear off. As long as you keep it on, you're going to continue to be protected. Is that due to the way the fabric is woven, the type of fabric that is chosen or dyes in the fabric, or is it a chemical treatment that goes on the clothing? What makes something UPF 50+?
At Solbari, we look at the fabric from scratch. So we use proprietary fabrics. We develop our own fabrics, and that's taken us years to get it right so that they are both lightweight, breathable, moisture-wicking, anti-odor, have all the elements that people want to have with clothing that they would wear all day outside, even when it's warm. But in terms of the secret sauce really for the UPF 50+ depends on a number of things. So as you said, the fabric itself, the fabric composition, the way that it's woven, so how tightly it's woven. The color might affect it as well, because some darker colors have higher UPF than lighter colors. The way that it stretches as well can affect the UPF. The fabric weight is important, because the thicker the fabric, the higher the UPF. So for us, we don't offer anything less at Solbari than UPF 50+, and all of our colors are tested and rated UPF 50+. So it really gives our community this peace of mind that they are protected throughout the day.
Yeah, we recently had a family group chat where a picture was sent around of my father-in-law, and I'm sorry to call him out here, but he has been a farmer his entire life. And as an average farmer wearing a short sleeve shirt and long blue jeans, somebody took a picture comparing his forearm to his lower leg. And you could see the stark difference, because your average pair of blue jeans are thick. They are dyed a darker color. and they are UPF. We don't buy blue jeans thinking about their UPF rating, but they do block like 99% of ultraviolet rays. And you could just see how the difference in the quality and the texture and the tone of his skin between his arms and his legs was very striking. And so the protection that can be offered by clothing is significant. But as you said, not everybody wants to wear blue jeans and a jean jacket, a denim jacket when they're outside in the summer. And so being able to develop proprietary fabrics that can feel lightweight and breathable is really important to help it fit into somebody's lifestyle. And I have made it a habit of wearing UPF clothing when I go to the beach or when I go outside with my children at the swim park for extended periods of time, because I don't want to be caught off guard if my sunscreen washes off in the water. And it's just so much more convenient for me.
I agree. It's so easy to, as we say in Australia, we've got a saying, slip, slop, slap, sleek, slide. So it's really ingrained in our DNA. And what we encourage, or what Australia encourages Australians to do, is to slip on a shirt, a UPF 50 plus shirt. And when you think about it, the time it saves just to put on a UPF 50 plus shirt or rash guard when you go to the beach that has that UPF 50 plus protection is really helpful. Like, it sets you off for the day, going to the beach knowing that you're fully protected. And yes, on the story about your dad, that's really interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So jeans is one of the fabrics that has one of the highest UPF. I read a while ago that jeans have a UPF of over 1,000, but 50 plus is still the maximum rating that you can give to fabrics. But you are right, and I think we're very pro sunscreen in Australia, especially since sunscreens are very advanced in Australia in terms of the active ingredients that we use. So at Solbari, we strongly encourage our community to apply sunscreen on areas of the skin that are not protected by either the clothing or sun hats. But they complement each other really well.
Yeah. I'm very curious to get your insight on how Australia was able to create a culture of sun protection. We have not been able to catch up with you in the U.S. There's still very much an anti-sunscreen crowd, especially that I can see on social media. Many of my patients are still not in the habit of wearing a daily sunscreen for common activities. And the way that you've been able to bring this into the culture, even into grade schools, to educate people from young ages to begin using sunscreen, is admirable. And I'm wondering how that happened in your country and what lessons we might take into the U.S. to help encourage that kind of adoption.
Great question. So for us, as I said, it's really in our DNA. Like, sun protection is a non-negotiable. If you go out in the sun and you don't wear sunscreen or a rash vest at the beach or sun protective clothing or sun hats, you will get sunburned really quickly. And there's this funny story that Australians always bring up when tourists come to Australia. Very often it can be cloudy. And as you would know, 80% of UV rays still penetrate cloud. Yeah. And you'll be able to know which are the tourists most of the time, because they will be completely red a few hours later or the following day. But in Australia, it's in our DNA. So I don't know if you're aware, but for children in school up until the age of about 11, there's a no hat, no play policy. So children are not allowed to go outside without a sun hat during spring and summer. And that's up until the age of about 11. And after the age of 11 in secondary school, there's a play policy, but in the shade. So that's really ingrained from a very young age. And children will also apply sunscreen in the morning. Their parents will often apply sunscreen on their children before they go to school, or it gets applied at school. And there's other things that we've done in Australia, which I really look forward the US to doing, is banning solariums, for example. So back in 2015, Australia banned solariums because to us they're considered as deathbeds.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been these really interesting memes, as you'll know, of coffins being stylized as sunbeds. So I think we're more advanced than in the US. And at Solbari, what we're trying to do is really bring that Australian excellence to the US, because it's just in people's daily habits that it makes such a difference. And as you know, UV damage is cumulative. So the younger you start, the better really you've got chances of not being diagnosed one day by skin cancer or melanoma. And then skin aging is something really important in a lot of people's lives. And the way the skin looks as well is incredibly important as people age.
Yeah, that really is fascinating. And I like that policy for the younger generation. It really helps to ingrain that at a young age. And I'm going to throw an audible at you. A little bit of a sidetrack on our conversation is the healthcare system in Australia. Is it a government-run single-payer system?
Yes, so everyone in Australia, most people have private medical insurance in Australia, but we do have a government-run medical system, which is called Medicare, and it's phenomenal. It really is incredible. And people will mostly get their skin checks once a year, and that's heavily subsidized by the government as well. So there again, just like an eye test, which is heavily subsidized, skin cancer detection is strongly encouraged once a year, and that's heavily subsidized. Yeah. And then medical treatments that go with the treatments of skin cancer and melanoma are also, depending on people's situation and financial situation, it's heavily subsidized, which is very, very lucky, unlike in the US, which is a lot more, as we would call it in Australia, out of pocket.
Yeah, very much so. And I think this is probably one of the reasons that as a government, this kind of education around sun safety has been adopted, because the government is also, in many cases, the ones paying for the care. And so it's obviously going to save the population money and improve health if we can prevent the problems from happening starting at a young age. And where we don't have a single payer system in America, there's nobody that has really taken charge to help encourage more of these preventative healthy behaviors from young ages, because we always view it as it's going to be somebody else's problem because you'll have different insurance in a year or two. And I think that really does impact the way that we approach preventative health in the United States.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree with you. I think prevention is better than cure. That really what underlines what we do.
And for the audience, I think it's important to know that some of the best research that we have in the dermatology world around the impact of UV on causing skin cancer and the impact of sunscreen and sun protective clothing on preventing skin cancer comes from our Australian colleagues, from both primary care physicians who do many of the skin checks in Australia, as well as the dermatologists that practice there. So you guys have really taken a lead on this kind of research and publishing the data that has helped us to have the recommendations we try to give to our patients, and then I try to share online through my social media content.
I love the content that you share on social media, and I love skinfluencers and dermatologists sharing that content, because for the community to know that sun protective clothing and sunscreen go hand in hand in terms of helping protect the skin from harmful UV rays is often not known. So to be able to voice that, and as you said, in Australia, there's been a tremendous amount of research, and we really are at the forefront because, as I said, it's in our DNA, sun protection, and we need to be careful of the sun. We do respect the sun, but to know how much work is being done and effort and investment into medical treatments for those affected in Australia is really remarkable. It's something we're very proud of in Australia.
Yeah. And you should be proud of it. And I wish we could get more of that over here in the US, but I'm doing my best to educate and do my small part. I want to shift gears a little bit and learn a little bit about Solbari in more depth. You started it about 12 years ago, I think you said, and now you've grown to being distributed in over 160 countries with more than 800,000 customers. How did you, found this company and grow it to such a massive size to serve so many people?
Well, to be honest, when I started it 12 years ago, I had no idea how big it would get. We've now got a team of 35 based here in Melbourne. We've also got a growing team in the US, a warehouse in the US as well, in California, where we dispatch all of our US orders from. We've got a US website as well, solbari.com. But for me, being an entrepreneur was very new. My parents are not entrepreneurs. I worked in finance prior to starting Solbari. So for the first 12 years of my career after going to university in London, I worked for large banks. I worked for Goldman Sachs, Rothschilds, Credit Suisse. So it was a great learning for me to be able to understand numbers. And I think that was really a great way to start a business where I understood cash flow. I understood about risk taking as well. But over time, it really started with a polo 12 years ago. I'm actually wearing one of the original polo styles that has been in our range for so long. And I really created that polo shirt and our first broad brim hat for my husband and I when we were going to play golf outside so that we could be fully protected. And we've listened to our community over the years. They've told us what products they wanted us to add to the range. We've worked with dermatologists very closely. So we've got a medical expert panel, which you can see on our website. And it's been really important to us to grow steadily, organically, through word of mouth. We're doing more on social media as well now to try and spread the word and educate our community as best we can about the benefits of sun protection. But yes, as you say, the business has grown. We're predominantly D2C, so we sell through our website, and to be able to reach customers all around the world is just such a great feeling to be able to export Australian excellence to the world. It's just so nice. And I think the stories that we hear from our community as well about how much they enjoy wearing the product and how it keeps them safe throughout the day gets me and everyone in this Solbari office where I'm sitting today out of bed and just really, really keen to do the best we can.
Yeah. And looking at the products that you have on your website, having tried them before, one thing that I have seen from other companies is UPF clothing doesn't always feel good to wear. It's not always fashionable. How do you bridge that gap to make things that people actually want to wear? And why do you think that other companies compromise that and make things that might be UPF 50 certified, but they're just not easy or fun to wear?
So for us, comfort has always been paramount to offering UPF 50 plus sun protective clothing. And that was really the reason why I created Solbari, because I couldn't find anything in the market that was lightweight, breathable, comfortable, moisture wicking, anti-odor, all the things that you want to have built into a garment without compromising on style. So we've got a great team. We've got designers. We've got a lot of R&D as well that we put into our proprietary fabrics, just to make sure that we take our time to create products that are going to be long lasting. So we're not a fast fashion brand. Mm-hmm. They're going to be long lasting and people are going to want to wear them, because there's no point of offering UPF 50 plus sun protection, but people don't want to wear them. So we've really tried, as we've created more products at Solbari, and we've got a portfolio of about 100 products to date in our range currently, and it's really based on people wanting to wear the product.
Yeah, and that is essential to get that compliance. And we face the same kind of battle with sunscreens. There's some great sunscreens, but they don't look good on the skin, and people are not going to use them if they're not fitting into their everyday life. So I have to compliment you that you guys have been able to bridge that gap to make something that works, but also people want to wear it because it fits within their lifestyle. I wanted to ask also, when any article of clothing goes through the wash a number of times, I have shirts that I love to wear and my wife gives me a hard time because they're starting to get holes in them, but they're the most comfortable t-shirt or something like that. Do consumers need to be aware of any degradation in the protection after using a garment for a certain period of time or going through a certain number of washes?
Yes, absolutely. So if a fabric stretches, or if, as you said, you start getting holes in your garment, that will definitely significantly reduce the UPF rating of the fabric. However, what we've done to reassure our community is that we have wash tested our fabrics for at least 50 washes, which is actually environmentally the maximum number of washes that we're able to get to, and over 120 hours of sunlight. So we've done a lot of testing throughout the life of the garment, but absolutely, I think people need to be aware that if they're not buying a product which has a UPF rating logo on it or sticker, they really need to be mindful that maybe they're starting off with a UPF of only 5, and that's really very, very low. However, for Solbari products, everything that we do, every fabric in every color is rated UPF 50 plus, and we do tremendous amount of research just to make sure that that UPF 50 plus is maintained throughout pretty much the life of the garment. But of course, if someone's wearing a backpack on a trek for 4 months, and they start seeing some wear on their shoulders from the backpack rubbing, then yes, they should be mindful that it could affect the UPF and reduce the UPF rating of the product.
Yeah, very good to know, because neither of us want somebody to be caught off guard and and not get the protection that they're expecting. But it takes common sense as well. Obviously, if your garment is wearing, because you're wearing it frequently, you need to know when to replace that or move it to, the one that you wear in the early hours or the later hours, so you're still getting protection. So, well, I really have to compliment you on the kind of work that you're doing, the quality of the garments, the protection that they offer. And I hope that as a society here in the United States, we can bring some of that passion and education, especially to our younger generation, to help to limit the risk of skin cancer, because it's a growing epidemic in the United States as well. Skin cancer is the most common cancer diagnosed. There are more skin cancers than all other types of cancers combined diagnosed every year in the United States. So it is a public health crisis as far as I'm concerned, and I'd like more people to take it seriously and to take these preventative steps, and would encourage everybody to go check out Solbari. And we talked earlier, and you wanted to offer a discount code to listeners if they're interested in getting some Solbari, and I'd love for you to share that with the audience.
Absolutely. Skinfluence15 is a discount code which we'd love to offer your listeners, and Skinfluence15, so Skinfluence15, for 15% discount at checkout.
And wherever you happen to be listening at, when Solbari is distributed in over 160 countries, you likely can find this wherever you're located at. So highly encourage you to do that. Take those steps to protect your skin, along with a sunscreen that you enjoy using every single day. And then Solbari is also on social media. Where can people find you there?
Solbari, at Solbari on Instagram, and we're building a TikTok channel as well, and we're on Meta. So it's exciting. It's a really exciting time for our brand, and to be able to help people get that protection that they deserve. Really, being outdoors in the sun is very exciting for us to be able to bring that to the US and continue to distribute it internationally throughout the world.
And we want people to keep getting out there, being active, living their life, and taking reasonable, precautions to do that safely. Johanna, thank you so much for appearing on the podcast. It's been lovely to visit with you here and share your message to the audience, and help to educate more people on the importance of sun protective clothing.
Thanks for having me, Dustin. It was really great to chat with you today. Thank you.
Thank you to the audience for listening to this episode of Skinfluence. Remember to check out solbari.com and use the code Skinfluence15, that's Skinfluence15, for 15% off your order. This is a perfect time at the start of summer to stock up on the essentials to make sure that your skin is protected. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. Share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next week.